What's up, everybody? My name's Manfredi, and today I'm going to be telling you how to get jacked. This is going to be your no bullshit guide to getting jacked. Alright, everybody wants to be jacked. Most people aren't, so I'm going to show you how. Now, why should you listen to me? Now, this is what I looked like a few years ago. I was just like you. I was scrawny, I was puny, I was weak, I was sad. Look at these sad faces. Pathetic. But I had the heart. Right. Here, I was not in good shape. Fast forward a couple of years, hard, dedicated training. Look a little bit like this. Right. And what this has helped me to do is things like this. I have girls who want to do things like this for me. That's my name. I can buy things like this. Like this. I'm sure we'd all like that. Now, in the pursuit of getting jacked, right, there's four main things we need to cover, right? First being diet, second being your training in the gym, third is recovery, and there's a fourth one that you're gonna have to wait and see to the end. This one's gonna bang. Stick around and see that one. Now, frequency. How many times should you be going to the gym every week? You want to be going at least 3 times per week, right? Each body part you need to hit at least twice per week. And the reason for this is really where you get the most bang for your buck. So, it used to be a thing before my time, but bro splits where people were hitting every muscle group really, really hard once a week, right? So they have like a full chest day, a full arms day, right? A full back day, right? But there's only so many days in the week, right? And there's a lot of muscle groups. So it's much more effective. You actually get a lot more progress if you hit it twice a week, right? Now, you can go up to 6 days a week. I always recommend taking at least 1 day off, but I really recommend going 5 or 6 days a week. Five's really good. You can go Monday to Friday, take the weekends off, make it a part of your routine. Super, super easy. Make it a part of your routine. It's way easier, in my opinion, to go 5 and 6 days a week than it is to go 3. Because 3, you're like chopping and changing. You've got days in between where you're not going. So it's really easy to just go, I didn't go yesterday, I'm not going to go today. Right? But when you're going basically every day, it's really easy to string them together, get super consistent, make it a part of your life, and that's how you're going to get consistent. That's how you're going to see progress over the long term. Now, in terms of rest, you need to be resting at least 48 hours before hitting the same muscles again. All right? So if you hit chest on Monday, don't hit chest again on Tuesday. Your muscles are still going to be broken, right? When you lift weights, you're tearing the muscle in the hopes that they build back bigger and stronger. Right? So if you're training the same muscle every day, you're not growing, right? You actually grow when you're resting. Does that make sense? Right? So 48 hours at least before hitting the same muscles again. These are 4 different options you've got. You can pick how many days a week you want to go. Minimum 3. I recommend 5 or 6. If you go 3 days, you're going to want to do full body workouts every day for the 3 days. 4 days, you can do an upper-lower split. So you're going to do upper-lower on these days. Right? This is going to allow you to hit every muscle twice. 5 days, push-pull legs, upper-lower. So you're going to take these same workouts, put them here. Push is all your pushing muscles. Right? So push is going to be chest, triceps, shoulders. Pull, all your pulling muscles. Right? So that's going to be your back and your biceps and rear delts. And legs, self-explanatory, all the muscles in your legs. Right? And then a 6-day split, we're just going to do push-pull legs and we're going to repeat that twice. So pick one of these that you want to do, and I'm going to tell you how you can craft your training program. Now, one of the main drivers of growth, one of the most important drivers of growth is volume. Volume being how many sets are you actually doing per week. Right? So heaps of studies have shown, and from what I've seen from my own experience, 10 to 20 total sets per muscle per week is optimal. So 10 is going to be your minimum effective volume. Don't do anything less than 10, because if you do anything less than 10, you're not going to grow. Or you're going to grow very minimally, very, very minimally. Don't go above 20 in general. There are exceptions to the rule, but do not go above 20, because if you go above 20, you're actually not going to be able to recover for your next session. Like I said, you grow when you're recovering. If you put too much strain on your muscle continuously without letting it rest, you're going to overtrain. Your muscle is actually going to shrink. Your central nervous system is going to become weak, and you're not going to be able to push as hard. It's going to affect not just your lifting, it's going to affect every area of your life. Right? You're not going to be able to focus as much. You're not going to be as energetic. Right? So it does depend on the muscle group and on the genetics. These sets can vary. For example, things like calves, abs, they can take a real beating. Right? These are very, very enduring muscles. So they might even take more than 20 sets. But a general rule of thumb, 10 to 20 sets. If you stay between 10 and 20, you're going to make progress. Right? When we're doing these exercises, we want to, again, be focusing on compound movements because they hit multiple muscles at the same time, right? The less days that you work out, so for example, if you choose to do a 3-day split and you're doing full body workouts 3 days a week, you're basically going to need to fill all of those workouts with compound movements. You're not really going to have much space for isolations. And that's because if you want to hit 10 to 20 total sets per muscle per week, with a very low frequency training split, you need to be doing the most efficient work possible. Like, you can't walk in, do some bicep curls, do some tricep extensions, right? Do a shoulder press, right? If you need to go through a full body all doing isolations, you're going to be there for like 5 hours, right? Intensity, right? The most important factor from what I've found is not the volume, it's intensity. How hard are you actually working? Because the caveat with volume is it's not just how many sets do you do, but how many effective sets do you do. Now, this is a really important point to take home. Most people, when they go to the gym, they do not train hard. They're not training close to failure. They get to the point where it hurts a little bit, and then they stop. And this is why people are not seeing the results they want to see. It's because, quite frankly, they're not just grabbing their nuts and sending it. Right? For you guys as beginners, as intermediates, whatever stage you're at, right, your strength is going to be the main driver of growth. Right? The stronger you are, the bigger you're going to get. It's basically 1-to-1. If your muscles get bigger, that means they got stronger. So if we go backwards from there, the stronger you get, the bigger you be. Now, since we want to focus mainly on strength, right, high intensity, we want to train in a lower rep range for our compound movements. We still want to be in a reasonably low rep range for our isolations, but we're going to chuck a few more on and get a bit more of a pump. So my general rule of thumb for compounds is 6 to 10 reps. Anywhere in that range. Don't go above 10 reps on a compound. The reason for this as well is compounds, and past like 10, 12, 15 reps, it becomes cardio. So your limiting factor is not going to be your muscle, it's going to be your cardio. Right? You're going to be out of breath. That's not what we want. We want to be fatiguing the muscle, not our lungs. For isolations, I like to keep it between 8 and 12 reps. Anything under 8 reps on isolations, your form really starts to break down. Like if you're trying to do strict bicep curls for like 4, 5, 6 reps, you're going to be swinging it, right? It's really hard to do. So anywhere between 8 and 12 reps, really good for isolations. Now, should you be training to failure? Not on every set, okay? What I like to do, I generally train within 1 to 2 reps of failure on every single set. And then when I get to the last exercise of that muscle, right, I will go to complete failure. I might chuck in an intensity technique, do a drop set, right, do some rest pause, and absolutely smash that muscle. The reason I can smash it at the very end is because I'm not going to use it for another 2 days. Right? If I'm training to complete failure on my very first set, once you hit that point, your muscle is basically burnt out. And I've done this plenty of times where I just want to go in there and grind and put in the hard work, right? Go to complete failure on a first set, and then I've got like 6, 7, 8 more sets to do, right? And all the rest of them just suck, right? You get like half the reps that you should be. Last thing is, don't be a pussy, right? What I want you guys actually to do, if you're relatively new to the gym, you probably are not used to actually training to failure. Like, you guys might not actually know what failure feels like, right? You might think you're at failure, but you got 5 left in the tank. And the key is here, the gains are made in those last reps. If you're training 5 reps away from failure, you are not going to be getting the best bang for your buck, right? You're getting 10% of what you should be. If you're training within 1 rep of failure, that's where the source is, right? So train close to failure, last set for each muscle group in the workout, complete failure. Exercise selection. Now, when we're choosing exercises, it's very important to understand why we're choosing each exercise, right? Most people walk into the gym, go on random machines, right? Whatever they feel like that day. And this is why you see people going into the gym. You see them 2 years later, they look exactly the same. Right? So we need to be deliberate. We need to be mindful. We need to be conscious of our exercise selection. Now, there's 2 different types of exercises that we can pick. First being compound lifts. These are the ones that use multiple muscle groups. Right? A good example of this is a bench press. So bench press, what muscles does it use? Chest, triceps, shoulders, right? Engage a little bit of core, not so much, right? You see you're mainly hitting 3 muscles there. Compared to isolation lifts, these only focus on 1. So an example of an isolation might be a skull crusher, which just hits your triceps. Now, we want to focus on compound lifts, first and foremost, because these are the ones that put on the most muscle. You're lifting the heaviest weights, you're putting the most work in, you're putting the most stress on the muscle, and that's what's going to translate into more mass, right? Secondly, it's just more time efficient. Like if we take that example, bench press versus skull crusher. When I do a bench, if I do 4 sets of bench press, I've done 4 sets for my chest, 4 sets for shoulders, 4 sets for triceps, right? If I had to do that all with isolations, I would have to do 12 total sets. So it's going to take me 3 times longer to get even less work done because the compounds is just heavier. It just builds more muscle. Now, every workout we do, the way I usually structure it is I'll start with the compounds first. We do either 2 to 4 compounds right at the beginning of the workout when you're fresh, right? You want to do these at the beginning because you're going to have the most strength, and these are the ones where you really want to push the hardest. And then on the back end of every workout, you're going to finish with 2 to 4 isolation exercises. Right, so this can be stuff like bicep curls, lateral raises, right, for your shoulders, tricep push downs. These are all isolation exercises. The way you want to think about it is the compounds is what's going to put on the mass, right? This is going to put size on your frame. And then isolations is like the stonemason coming in, chipping the marble statue, right? Chiseling it to perfection. That's how I want you to think about these things. So first get the mass, then you want to refine it. Now, when it comes to exercise selection, in your total week, you need to have the following compound movements to have a complete schedule, right? If you miss any of these, you're missing a vital movement of your body, and some of your muscles are going to be underdeveloped. It's not going to look good. You're not going to perform well. First being a vertical push. Example of that's shoulder press. Second being a horizontal push. It's like a bench press. Vertical pull, so pulling down. It's a lat pull down, a pull up, things like this. Horizontal pull, something like a cable row or a bent over row. Got a knee hinge movement. So this is any movement where you're hinging at the knee. So a good example of this is a squat. Another example, which is not a compound, but it's an isolation, is a leg extension. So you're thinking you're just moving your knee. That's the main movement. And the last one's a hip hinge movement. An example of that is a Romanian deadlift. You can also do regular deadlifts, things like hip thrusts as well. Keep these in mind because when we are designing your workout plan, we're going to be using all 6 of these movements. Now, how are we actually going to perform these exercises, right? The number one thing you should be thinking about when you are in the gym and when you're doing these exercises is maintaining good form, right? So we want to keep the intensity there. Don't be a bitch. But you need to be performing your exercises with good form. The reason for this is, and I can speak from personal experience, you're going to get injured, right? And you're going to stay in the exact same shape that you are now, and probably get worse. I injured my shoulder last year. I couldn't train for 8 months. Nothing upper body. No bicep curls, no triceps, no chest, no back, nothing. And I was in terrible shape. And it wasn't good. Why? Because I didn't listen to the old guys at the gym and said, warm up, use good form. I was ego lifting. Okay? If the weight's too heavy to perform with good form, drop the weight. Okay? The goal of lifting weights is to put tension onto the muscle. Alright? If you are not lifting with good form, you're not putting tension on the muscle that you want to hit. You're putting it onto other parts of your bodies. That stress, that tension is going onto your tendons, your ligaments, and it's going onto accessory muscles that you don't really care about right now. If you're doing a bench press, you're trying to hit chest. So let's put the tension on the chest. Right? If you're doing a row, you want to hit your back. So let's put the tension on your back, not your rotator cuff. Right? Don't swing the weights around. Use good form. When you get more intermediate and advanced, you can start to use intensity techniques like that. But for now, focus on having good form. Use a reasonable weight, right, that you can perform with good form between 6 and 10 reps. Okay? If you can do 12 reps with shit form, I'd rather you do 10 with good form, right? You're going to get more results, short and long term. When it comes to tempo, don't just smash your weights out, right? Don't smash the reps out. We want to maximize again. We want to maximize tension, right? The best way to do that is actually to go slow on the way down. Right? So I like to go 1 second on the way up, 1 second concentric, and 2 seconds on the way down, 2 second eccentric. Reason for that is, the reason we want to go slower on the way down is you're actually stronger on the way down. Right? You can hold something and lower it. That's a lot heavier than what you can lift up. Right? So we want to utilize that. We don't want to just focus on the way up. Focus on the way down. Control the weight, 2 seconds down, and you're going to make the most gains. And again, do not ego lift. Right? Progressive overload. Now, being in the gym, this is one of the main principles you need to use, is you need to be progressing in either weight or reps every single session if you're a beginner. And as long as you're training and eating right, this is not going to be hard at all. You'll walk in and you'll be able to do 3, 4, 5 more reps with the same weight. Or you'll be able to do the same reps with a higher weight. Right? You should be able to do this every single session. That's going to feel so good, man. When that very first session you could only lift 40, the next session you go in, you can do 45. And 2 weeks after that, you can do 50. You know you're getting stronger. You know you're getting bigger. You know you're looking better. You know you're getting leaner. You're starting to get looks from girls, right? Your parents are starting to respect you more. Your teachers, your professors, right? They're starting to notice changes. And it's the best feeling ever. And when you look in the mirror, you can be proud of yourself. That's going to translate everywhere in your life. Now, if you're more of an intermediate, this is how you'll know you're an intermediate. As long as you're training right, you should be progressing about every week. So it's going to slow down from every session to about every week. But you can really ride out this beginner phase, right? It lasts quite a while. Now, how do you actually do progressive overload? Really simple. This is a very easy metric to use. You're going to take a rep range. So you've got your compounds between 6 and 10, right? Now, what you're going to do, let's say it's 3 sets of bench press, and you can do 50 kilos for 6 reps for 3 sets. Okay? The next session, you might be able to do 8. And then the next session, you're going to do 10 for all 3. And now that you're at the top of that range, you're going to move up a weight. So you're not going to keep going in your reps. You're not going to go to 11, 12, 13 reps. You're going to move the weight up. And then your reps might drop. They might drop back closer to 6. You might only be able to get 6 reps. Or you might only be able to get 7. As long as you're within this range, you're doing well, right? If you go from 60 to 70, that might be too big of a jump, right? You might go to 70 and you can only do 5 reps. If you're not in that range, I want you to move the weight back. Right, you went from 60 to 70. I wouldn't recommend that. Go up in like 5s, don't go up in 10s. Let's say you go 60 to 70, you only get 5. Push it back to 65. That's the weight you should be at. You might be able to get 6 or 7 or 8. Right? You can rinse and repeat this literally forever. Like even advanced people, even people who have been in the gym for 20 years, this is what they do. Right? This is how you progressively overload. When you start to plateau, there's strategies there, but that's a topic for another video. All right. Now, when it comes to diet, this is just as important as training, if not more important. No, they're equally as important. Right? Diet, crucial to your progress in the gym. And what we're going to do is first we're going to see where you're at right now. Now, this is a body fat chart. Move that over there. This is a body fat percentage chart, right? And depending where you are on this chart, right, this is how we're going to structure your diet. So take a look here, and what I really want you to look at is mainly the abdominal region, the stomach area, okay? So what looks most like you? Are you like a super skinny guy that's really shredded? Like you got a 6-pack, right? You got veins, but you just don't have mass? Are you a bit chubbier, right? A bit more fat around the midsection, a little bit of man boobs there. Which one are you? And keep it in mind, because it's going to be very useful. Right, from here, what we're going to do is we're going to calculate your maintenance calories. So what your maintenance calories is basically the amount of calories, the amount of food you need to eat every single day to maintain the weight that you're at. So not go up, not go down, to maintain. How we're going to do that is really simple. There's a bunch of formulas online, but the easiest way is just to use a calculator. I'm going to post this link in the description. You can click on it or just look up BMR calculator. Super simple. Right, so what you're going to do is you're going to plug your age. Let's say you're 18. Height 180 centimeters, weight 60 kilograms. Click calculate. And it's going to spit out all these different sets of calories, right? This is your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, okay? This is basically you if you were in a coma or you lay in bed all day and never moved. This is just enough to keep you alive, right? Just to breathe, just to keep your heart beating, okay? Don't worry about these for now. These are going to come in handy later, right? What I want you to do is think back to how many days a week were you going to exercise, and I want you to look into that category. So if you picked 3 times a week, this is going to be your maintenance. If it's 4 or 5, this is going to be your maintenance. If it's 6, probably closer to that, right? So write that down. We're going to use that in the next sections. Now, depending on what body fat percentage you are, we're going to be using a different metric to find your macros to see what you're going to be eating in your diet, right? So if you're lean, if you're like a skinny guy, shredded already, you just don't have muscle, do not listen to the shit you're seeing online about dirty bulking. Do not, right? Dirty bulking is just going to make you fat. You'll put on size. You'll put on mass. You'll get strong. But you'll be a fat fuck at the end of it. It's just going to make your life harder. Like, what is the point in being big and strong and fat and pimply faced, right? If we're doing this to become more attractive, so we can improve our confidence, improve our mental health, this is going to do the opposite of that. Like right now, if you're skinny, you've got abs, at least you got abs, man. starting off on the good foot. Don't lose the abs when there's a much better option, is lean bulking. Right? Lean bulking, the idea is you're going to eat in a small calorie surplus, which is just enough to build muscle, right, optimally, with putting on minimal fat. So at the end of 3 or 6 months, you might have gained a couple percent body fat, and the rest of the weight you've put on is all muscle. So you're going to be the same leanness you are right now, plus 5 kilos of muscle, and you're going to look sick, right? Now, if you're in this category, the way we're going to do a lean bulk is we're going to take that maintenance calories that we calculated before and just add 250 to it. That's going to be your lean bulk calories. When it comes to the macros, right, protein, carbs, fats, really easy. I want you to take your body weight, turn it into pounds if you weighed it in kilograms, and then times it by 0.8 grams. That's going to be how much protein you're going to eat. Really easy. For carbs, you're going to take your body weight in kilograms, and you're going to times it by 5. That's how many grams of carbs you're going to take. Right? And then for fats, you're literally just going to fill the rest of your calories in. Now, you're going to have to work out how to do that, but I'll give you the calculations here. It's not too hard. Right, so let's use an example. For example, let's say you were 11% body fat, right? 180 centimeters, 60 kilograms. Really nice and easy. Chuck that into the BMR calculator. Add 250 calories, get to 2,601 calories. That's going to be your calories for the diet, right? To find protein, we're going to take the kilograms, times it by 2.2. That's going to give you the amount of pounds that you weigh. Times it by 1. It's 132 grams of protein. Okay, carbs, really easy. Take the weight in kilograms, 60, times it by 5. That's the amount of grams of carbs that you're going to have. You're going to have 300 grams of carbs. Right. The fats, a little bit more complicated, but it's not too tough. All we're going to do is add up all the calories that we had from the protein and the carbs, take it away from the total amount of calories, and then find how many grams of fat we need. All right, so we need 2,601 calories. Right. For carbs and protein, they both have 4 calories per gram. Okay, so we've got 132 grams of protein, times that by 4. We've got 300 grams of carbohydrates, times that by 4. Right, and then we're going to take that total away from 2,601. Right, that's going to give us the amount of calories that we need in fat. Now, fat's a little bit different to carbs and protein. It's more caloric, meaning it has more calories per gram. It actually has 9 calories per gram, right? So we're going to divide that final number we had, the amount of calories of fat, divided by 9. That's going to give us 97 grams. This is how much fat we need. So all up, 2,600 calories, 132 grams of protein, 300 grams of carbs, and 97 grams of fat. Now, if you're fat or you're skinny fat, right, and by that I mean you're above 12%. You looked at that scale, you're above 12%. If you're above 12%, you don't have visible abs, right? You won't really be able to see, you might be able to see a faint outline if you're closer to 12, right? But if you're like past 15, you won't be able to see it, right? If you're at this level, I know most of you, if you've done any research, people just say to cut. You need to go on a cut. And when people talk about cutting, they usually want you to go on a massive deficit, right? You do not want to do this, okay? Reason being, if you're fat or you're skinny fat, you basically have no muscle already. So if you lose all that weight, all you're going to be at is at the same level as the skinny shredded guy. You'll have abs, but you still won't be impressive, right? You're still going to be small. What we want to do instead is we want to be losing fat and we want to be building muscle at the same time, and it actually is possible. Don't listen to what anyone says. It's very easy to do as long as you follow these principles, right? We call it body recomposition, okay? That's when you lose fat and you build muscle at the same time. All right, to do this, to find your calories, this is a little bit more complicated than the bulk, guys. Theirs was really simple. What you want to do is you want to eat in a deficit that is equal to your body fat percentage. So if you looked at that chart, right, and you were 15% body fat, all you're going to do is you're going to take your maintenance calories and you're going to minus 15% from it. That's going to be the calories that you follow through your diet, right? We only want to do this up to 20%. So if you're above 20%, just do 20% deficit, right? Take your maintenance, reduce it by 20%. If you're 40% body fat, do a 20% deficit. 40% deficit's way too big, right? You're not going to be able to build muscle if you're in that much of a deficit. When it comes to protein, you want to eat between 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass. Right? Lean body mass is different to your body weight. Lean body mass is basically all of the stuff on your body that's not fat. Right? So it's your bones and your muscle and your organs, etc. Lean body mass. And we're going to pick between 1.2, it's a sliding scale up to 1.6 based on your body fat percentage. Right? So basically, the higher your body fat percentage, the less protein you're going to need. The lower your body fat percentage, the more protein you're going to need. And the reason for that is, when you're at a higher body fat, you have more stored energy, so you actually need less fuel for your body to grow, right? It's going to just use that fat, it's going to turn it into muscle, right? It's going to use that energy. Now, how you find your lean body mass? Really easy. Take your body weight, and then take your body fat percentage off of that, right? So how we do that mathematically, times it by 1 minus your body fat percentage. If you're 15% body fat, do 1 minus 0.15, which is going to be 0.85. So let's say you're 60 kilograms times by 0.85, whatever that comes to, that's your lean body mass. Now, here's the scale. Depending on your body fat percentage, these are the figures you're going to use. Right? If you're at 30%, do 1.2 per pound of lean body mass. 25%, do 1.3 per pound of lean body mass. All the way up down to 12%, then you're going to do 1.6 per pound of lean body mass. All right, that's how you're going to get to your protein. This one we're going to do a bit differently. We're going to calculate the fats first. So we want to be eating at least 25 to 35% of calories in fats, depending on your body fat percentage. Right? The more body fat that you have, the higher the proportion of fats you want in your diet. Reason for this is a lot of weight issues are caused through insulin sensitivity, right? And insulin sensitivity, or the lack of insulin sensitivity, is usually caused by excess carbohydrates in the diet, right? Specifically processed sugars, right? Simple sugars, right? So basically, the fatter you are, the more fat you want to eat. Sounds counterproductive, but believe me, it works, right? So if you're 25% or above, 35% of your calories are going to come from fats. If you're 12%, 25% is going to come from fats. And it's a sliding scale again. So somewhere in between would be 18%, you can have 30%. If you're 15%, do like 28. Something along those lines, right? And then you're going to fill the rest of your calories in with carbs. Now, for example, if you were going to body recomp 180 centimeters, 80 kilograms, and 18% body fat, this is how you would work it out. Plug these into your body, your BMR calculator, and then what you're going to do is minus 18% of that. So I came to 2,168 calories. Right? Protein, really simple. Right? We were 18% body fat. That puts us into the 1.4 range, right? We're going to take 80 times it by 2.2 to get the pounds, right? Then we're going to multiply this pounds figure by the body fat percentage, 1 minus the body fat percentage. That's going to give us our lean body mass. And then we're going to just times that by 1.4. And that's going to come to 144 grams of protein, right? Fat, really, really simple, right? We're going to take the total amount of calories. We were at 18%, so 30%, 0.3 of our calories need to come from fat. This is going to give us our total calories from fat. When we divide it by 9, that's going to give us how many grams of fat we need. So when you do this calculation, it gets us 72 grams of fat. Carbohydrates, we're just going to fill in the gaps. So we're going to find how many calories of protein we have, how many calories of fat we have, and we're going to take that away from the carbs, right? and then we're going to divide it by 4, which I missed here. 144 by 4, 72 by 9. Take that away, divide it by 4, it's going to come to 233 grams of carbs. So all up, 2,168 calories, 144 grams of protein, 72 grams of fat, and 233 grams of carbs. Those are the macros for a recomp. Now, what types of food should you actually be eating? Now you've got your macros, you know how much you should be eating. What should you be eating? Guys, do not eat shit food. Do not eat shit food, right? Just because it fits into your macros, just because you have the right amount of calories, protein, carbs, fats, does not mean you should be eating McDonald's, right? Just because you can eat a chocolate bar and still lose weight, still build muscle, it doesn't mean you should, right? You want to be eating a mix of whole foods only, okay? What are whole foods? Things with one ingredient, okay? What's the ingredient in a steak? It's steak, right? What's the ingredient in an apple? It's an apple, right? All this other processed garbage, right? Look at the labels the next time you're at the supermarket, you'll be disgusted. If you can't pronounce something on an ingredient label, you should not be putting it in your body, right? So stick to whole foods, right? High protein whole foods, right? Cut out the processed sugars. Stop eating cereal for breakfast, right? Stop eating Frosted Flakes. Stop eating Cocoa Puffs, right? Stop eating chocolate. Stop eating lollies, right? Replace it with a better alternative. Replace it with a piece of fruit, right? Now, if you're struggling to get your calories in, right? Let's say you're a skinny guy, you're struggling to put on the weight, you're struggling to get your food in, you want to be eating calorie-dense food, okay? These are things that are small in volume, but have a lot of calories in them. A really good example is peanut butter, right? There's like 100 or 200 calories in one scoop of peanut butter. Right? So adding that to your foods, adding that to a protein shake, easy way to get calories in. Calorie-dense foods, fatty meats, right? Steak, mince, right? Go for the fattier options if you are struggling to eat enough, right? It's going to be way easier to eat. On the opposite end, if you're hungry, you want to be eating high volume, low calorie foods, right? You want to be eating foods that don't have a lot of calories for how big they are, right? Things like fruit, vegetables, right? Potatoes, okay? All these things are super filling, right? But they have way less calories than some other options. The beautiful thing about these foods, and whole foods especially though, and this is really good for you guys who are trying to lose fat and you're hungry, is whole foods are so much more filling. Usually they are high volume. Like potatoes as an example, super filling. Try binge eating potatoes. Boiled potatoes. I bet you could binge eat a packet of Doritos, right? It's the same shit in there, right? But because it's single ingredient, it's better for you. It's not so hyper palatable. It's not so tasty. It doesn't ping that dopamine receptor in your brain. This is what's going to help you stick it out. How are we going to track it, right? This is the most important thing here. Once we've got all these metrics, we need to actually stick to it. Right? How we're going to do that is using a calorie tracker. So 2 good options, MyFitnessPal. I use Chronometer. Right? Same thing. Right? All you do is weigh your food, plan your diet beforehand, and as you eat the food, add the foods in with the weights, with the right brands, okay? And it's going to tell you how many calories, how much protein, what macros are in there, right? What nutrients are in there, right? You need to be consistent with this. I want you to log everything you eat every day, okay? And you should have it planned ahead. If you want to see results, you shouldn't be making it up as you go, because you're going to get to the wrong amounts. Some days you're going to eat a little bit too much. Oh shit, I ate that. That was 300 calories over. Other day you're not going to eat enough, right? Not enough protein, okay? I want you to use a food scale. Buy one if you don't have one. Ask your parents if you don't have a job, right? Use a food scale to measure everything that you eat, right? If you're not using a scale to measure your food, you don't know how much you're eating. The amount of people that I talk to, skinny guys, right? Bro, I'm eating 5,000 calories a day. I can't put on weight. Trust me, bro, I eat 5,000 calories every day. I said, do you weigh your food? No. How do you know you're eating 5,000 calories a day? Well, I put it in the calorie counter, but you didn't weigh your food. I know for a fact these guys are not eating 5,000, they're eating 2. If you're 60 kilos, and you eat 5,000 calories, you're going to put on weight, right? You're not an alien, you're not a freak genetic, right? You do abide by the laws of thermodynamics, okay? If you're not seeing results, you're not tracking, right? Track accurately, do not lie to yourself, right? You need to be honest. Important thing here with your diet, right? If you miss a day, don't fall off the bandwagon, right? If you fuck up, you overeat one day, right? You binge eat some fucking Doritos, binge eat some chocolate, right? You had that Sour Patch Kids in the back of the cupboard, right? You had a sweet tooth and you ate the whole thing, okay? Don't fall off the bandwagon, just make up for it the next day, right? If you ate 500 calories extra, the next day eat 500 less. It's okay, it's not gonna kill you, right? Have some willpower and you're gonna be right back on track, okay? And this is the important thing, if you binge eat, track that too. For one, it's gonna hold you accountable because you're able to see, shit, I just ate 2,000 calories of ice cream. And you're gonna start thinking, man, I was in a 400 calorie deficit. That's 5 days of diet that I fucked up for one sitting of ice cream. Right? It's going to keep you accountable and you're going to be way more hesitant to do that stuff. You're going to be way more committed to staying on the diet, right? Because you're only going to understand that that's setting you back 5 days. Right? But it's all good. If you overeat, if you undereat, make up for it the next day. Right? You'll be back on track. The key is consistency. This is a long game. This is not a short game. Right? Supplements. Right? There's only 3 supplements that really work. The rest are kind of just marketing ploys. Right? They probably have some marginal gains, but like, who really cares? These 3 are the ones that are actually going to get you results. First being protein powder. Really easy way to get your protein in. Right, I understand some of you are going to have protein targets, 150 grams, 180 grams, whatever it is. Right, it can be hard to do that only with like regular food. Protein powder is a really easy way to do that. I mean, personally, I have 2 protein shakes a day. I get about 50 grams from protein shakes per day, and it just helps me fill in the gaps. Okay, if you're hungry, okay, meaning you are feeding more calories, get a whey protein isolate. It's got less calories for the same amount of protein as something like a concentrate, right? If you're on a lean bulk, maybe you want to opt for concentrate. It's easier to get your calories in. Do not buy a weight gainer. It's full of shit, right? The carbohydrates they put in there are fucking terrible for you. It's going to ruin your skin. Just have a concentrate. If you want a weight gainer shake, just make a weight gainer shake. Put more ingredients in there. Put a banana in there. Put some oats in there. Put some more protein in there, right? Do not use weight gainer. Bad idea. Ruin your skin, and to be honest, you'll get bloated, you'll be ugly. Stick away. Second one is creatine. This is the most tested sports supplement around, and it's consistently performs and shows people achieving better results, right? Creatine, really simple, it's cheap, right? Get it from a sports supplement store, from a chemist, whatever it is. What I like to do is for the first 2 weeks, I'll do 2 scoops a day, and after the first 2 weeks, I'll just do 1 scoop a day. Right, and you can basically use this forever. You don't really need to cycle it. That's fine. Third one is caffeine. For you super young guys, don't touch caffeine. It's fine. For you older guys, use caffeine if you want. You don't need it, but personally I've found I squeeze out a little bit more. I get a few more reps in. I can push a little bit more weight if I use caffeine. But who knows? Maybe that's just my addiction talking. Right? You can use coffee or pre-workout. Young guys, don't touch pre-workout. You don't need it. All right, you can be overstimulated. And you can use Tren if you like. but that's on you. Now, you might need to do a couple of mid-course adjustments, okay? As your weight changes, as you lose or gain weight, the amount of calories that you need is actually going to change. Your maintenance calories is going to change. If you go up in weight and you go back to that calculator, your maintenance is going to change, right? Conversely, if you're losing weight, okay, your maintenance calories are going to go down. There's a really nifty thing that happens in the body where your metabolism can slow down too, right? So as you go into a deficit, your body wants to hold on to that fat. It doesn't want to let go. It's a clingy girlfriend, okay? So what we're going to do to combat this, to make sure we're still on the right track, is you're going to get a weight scale, a bathroom scale, one you can stand on. If you don't have one, go buy one, right? Every single day before you take a shower, go weigh yourself, right? Write it down. And then at the end of the week, you're going to average your weight. So week by week, you're going to be able to see your average weight. You don't want to pay too much attention to the daily weight because there's fluctuations based on what you ate, the exercise you did, how you slept, the amount of water you've had, how hydrated you are. Your weight's going to go up and down, right? But there should be a clear trend based on your goals in the right direction, based on those averages. Don't look at the daily, look at the averages. If you're trying to lean bulk, your weight should be going up every week, okay? It should be going up. On the flip side, if you're trying to recomp, your weight, it's actually okay if it stays the same. It should be going down. If it stays the same, that can work too, as long as you're seeing progress in the mirror. Like if week by week you see that you're losing fat, it's okay if your weight's staying the same, because what that means is you're losing fat and you're building muscle are basically at the same rate. And that's what you want anyway. No problem with that at all. If you're not seeing progress in both of those areas, like if you look the same and you weigh the same, that means you are the same. Okay, and it means you're not training hard enough, you're not dieting correctly. Go back to the fundamentals, right? Go reread your notes, make sure you're actually doing everything. Okay, and be honest. Stop lying to yourself. If you're not seeing progress, that's on you. Now, if you are not seeing progress, you can also increase or decrease your calories. Right, so if you're lean bulking and you're not putting on weight, you might just need more calories. Everybody's different with their maintenance. These calculators are rough, right? They're not 100%. So you might need to increase your calories. Increase it by 100, increase it by 150, and see if it starts moving. If it doesn't keep moving, increase it again. Right? If you keep increasing and it's not moving, you're not tracking, right? Go read your notes. Now, should you have cheat meals if you're recomping? If you've been a really good boy for the whole week, right? 6 days, you've done perfectly on your diet, should you treat yourself to some KFC and ice cream? Fuck no. Alright? What kind of logic is this? Would you be happy if your girlfriend cheated on you once a week if she was loyal for the first 6 days? Alright? This is not just, okay, you can do a cheat meal, right? It's better for your mental health. What do you mean? Willpower, discipline. This is what's going to get you results over the long term. Like, what is more important to you? Eating KFC? Having one meal a week where you can be a fucking glutton, right? Or achieving the physique you want? Being able to look in the mirror and not be ashamed to see tits on a man, right? What's more important to you? Is it that or is it fried chicken? Right? You don't need cheat meals. We don't apply that to anywhere else in life, okay? And if you do, you shouldn't. This is why you're losing. Okay. Last point, recovery. Recovery, fairly simple. These concepts do go very in depth. I might make videos on them separately, right? First thing, the most important thing with recovery is your sleep, okay? Like we said, you're only actually growing when you're resting, right? And the most supercharged rest you ever get is when you're asleep. Guys, you need to be getting at least 8 hours of high quality sleep every single night. High quality sleep, right? every day. I don't care if you think you feel fine on 6 or 5, right? If you want results, you need to be getting at least 8. 9 is even better, but at least 8. Reason for this is, and this is especially important for you guys that are recomping, they've done studies, right? When you have a lack of sleep, it changes the way your body metabolizes fat, right? So you'll lose the same amount of weight if you don't sleep, but you lose such a higher proportion of muscle than fat. So you're going to be putting in all this effort at the gym, you're going to be eating, you're going to be tracking everything, and at the end of the day, you're not even losing fat, you're losing your muscle. Right? Do not fuck up here, guys. Do not slack off here. This is so important. Right? I'll make another video explaining how you can get even better quality sleep. But one important thing to note is, just because you feel asleep doesn't mean you were actually asleep. Right? Most people spend, even if you go to sleep at 11 o'clock, you wake up at 7, your body actually probably only slept for like 6.5 or 7 hours. So to combat that, allocate more time to when you're going to be in bed and when you're going to be asleep. Right? You need to be like asleep for 9 hours to get 8 hours of sleep. Alright. Next thing is water. If you guys are working out, you need to be drinking at least 3 to 4 liters per day. I go for 4 just so I know I'm hydrated. Don't risk it. Water is another key factor that goes into muscle building process. It's really slept on. No one ever talks about it. It's not just about being hydrated so you can perform. Literally, you don't build muscle if you don't drink water. Your body is made of water. Your muscle is 70 to 80% water. It's not 70 to 80% protein. 70 to 80% water. Right? So drink your water. Right? Easy way to do this is buy a big jug. Right? I've got a 4-liter water bottle. A gallon water bottle. Fill that up at the start of every day, and I make sure it's done by the end of every day. That's an easy way to track it. It's hard to track if you're just drinking glasses. You don't know how much you're drinking. Stretching is really good for recovery, right? It's really good for mobility, and it's great for your longevity in the gym. If you never stretch, you're going to get super tight. And when you get super tight, even if you warm up, you're going to have a tendency to get injured, right? If you never stretch your chest, for one, you're going to be walking around looking like a hunchback. And 2, after 6 months of no stretching, you're going to tear some shit. And you're not going to be able to bench for a year, right? Best way to stretch is do dynamic stretching before the workout. So like a warm-up, okay? Swing your arms around, right? Swing your legs around. Do some light exercises to warm up before you get into your heavy sets, right? After the workout, you want to do some static stretching. Usually, I like to just warm up the body parts that I'm using, and then I like to stretch the body parts that I've used, right? Like I don't warm up my legs on chest day. Warm up my chest, right? As long as you do this, you're doing 1 for 1. You use the muscle, you stretch it out after, right? You reset it, okay? Another really good thing to do is foam rolling. This is especially good for your lower body, right? It can be hard sometimes to get into like nooks and crannies in your hips and things like this. Use a foam roller, use those little balls as well. It hurts, but it's worth it. Last thing, recovery, is active recovery. And this is something that I've implemented recently, and it's working really well. Is doing low impact exercises. I do them every day, right? And what that does is it improves your blood flow, which is going to send nutrients. It's going to send white blood cells, etc., to your muscles, which is going to improve your recovery. So when you get back and you're going to smash that session, you're fresher, right? You're stronger. You can do more reps. You can push more weight, and you can build more muscle. A 1% improvement in your performance over a year turns into a lot, right? If you do one thing 1% better and you stack 100 of those things, now you're doing double, right? Every single day. You do that over a year, you're going to be leagues ahead of where you were if you don't optimize these things. Examples of low impact exercises: walking, swimming, and stretching, right? So on your rest days, they shouldn't be like completely rest. Go for a walk, go for a swim, stretch, right? You can always be doing something to improve your physique, improve your recovery. If you're not lifting, you're resting, right? How can you improve your lifting? And then when you're not lifting, how can you improve your recovery? How can you make sure that what you did in the gym is actually helping, is actually doing something, right? Another good thing is massages. This can help to loosen up the muscles, prevent injuries, and get you stronger over the long term. And the last one is recovery spas. I've dabbled a little bit with these. I'm not a huge fan. I don't see like the biggest difference, but good hot and cold baths, magnesium baths. You can do ice baths and things like sauna. I just dumped an hour's worth almost of information on you. That was literally A to Z. Every single thing that you need to consider, everything you need to think about, everything you need to implement to go from where you're at right now to where you want to be, to where you need to be, right? But none of this is going to work, right, if you do not put in the effort and you are not consistent. This information is literally useless if you do not apply it and you don't apply it consistently. If you do this for 1 week, you will not see results. If you do this for 2 weeks, you might see a little bit. If you do this for 2 months, you'll definitely see results, right? If you do this for 12 months, if you do this for 1 year, you will be unrecognizable, right? You don't know how many times this has happened to me. I moved schools when I was in high school. After year 10, I moved to a different school, and there were so many people that I did not see from that previous school until, 1 or 2 years after we graduated. And they all tell me how much I have changed, right? You know how happy that makes me feel, right? That I don't look like that kid in the first pictures, right? Now I look like a man, I talk like a man, I walk like a man. I make money like a man, right? That's what you want, guys. And like I said, this is going to translate into every area of your life. Your health is going to improve. Your skin's going to get better. Your sleep's going to get better. Because of that, you're going to have more energy, right? Which you're going to be able to apply to different areas of your life. Your wealth, right? You're going to be able to make more money. You're going to get up excited to go make money because you actually have energy. You have some fucking testosterone flowing through your brains. You're not excited to get up and jerk off. You're excited to get up and work on your business. Go get a job, right? Make money. Your relationships are going to improve. You're going to look better. You're going to feel better. You're going to have more self-esteem. And that's so attractive. Women are going to want to talk to you. Men are going to want to talk to you. You're going to be able to network way more efficiently. Because people will give a fuck who you are. Show them that you are someone that they should give a fuck about. Right? Stop being weak. Put in the effort and you'll get there. Now, I know I just dropped a shitload of information on you guys. Right? You have everything you need now, but you might be confused on where to start. Right? If you want example templates, so pre-built workouts, pre-built diet, right? Go to the free Discord. Check it out in the description. I'm going to be posting in there regularly. You'll find documents in there that are going to help you on this journey and lay everything out for you, so you don't even have to put in any effort yourself. Now, if you liked what I gave you for free here, I offer one-on-one coaching. If you want everything done for you, if you want accountability, and you want to guarantee your results, go look in the description. You can book in to have a call with me. Right, 30 minutes, we're going to break down everywhere in your life that you can improve. We're going to create an action plan, step by step, that's going to take you to where you need to be, right? Everywhere in your health, your wealth, your relationships, right? You're going to be in the best shape of your life. Right? You're going to be making the most money you've ever made, and you're going to be having the highest quality relationships with women and in your network that you've ever had, right? If you like the sound of that, check out the link in the description. God bless. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one.